What is continuous integration, CI?
Continuous integration is a development practice where developers frequently merge code changes into a shared repository, often multiple times a day. Each merge triggers an automated build and test process to detect integration errors early. Key benefits: early bug detection, reduced integration conflicts, faster feedback loops, consistent build process.
What is the difference between continuous delivery and continuous deployment?
Continuous delivery ensures code is always in a deployable state but requires a manual approval step before production release. Continuous deployment goes further. Every change that passes all pipeline stages is automatically deployed to production with no human intervention. Delivery equals ready to deploy on demand. Deployment equals auto-deployed every time.
What are the typical stages of a CI/CD pipeline?
A standard CI/CD pipeline includes these stages: source, code checkout from version control, build, compile code and resolve dependencies, test, run unit, integration, and end-to-end test, static analysis, linting, code quality check, security scan, SAST, dependency scanning package, create deployable artifacts, deploy, push to staging or production release, make available to users.
What is a GitHub Actions workflow?
A GitHub Actions workflow is an automated process defined in a YAML file under .github/workflows/. It is triggered by events such as push, pull_request, or schedule. A workflow contains one or more jobs, each consisting of steps that run commands or use actions. Example trigger: on, push, pull_request.
What are jobs, steps, and actions in GitHub Actions?
Jobs, independent units of work that run on a runner. Jobs run in parallel by default but can depend on each other using needs. Steps, individual tasks within a job, executed sequentially. Each step either runs a shell command, run, or uses an action, uses. Actions, reusable packaged tasks from the GitHub Marketplace or custom repositories, referenced as uses, actions/checkout at v4.
What are GitHub Actions runners?
Runners are servers that execute workflow jobs. GitHub provides GitHub-hosted runners, managed VMs, Ubuntu, Windows, Mac OS, that are provisioned fresh for each job. Self-hosted runners, machines you manage yourself, useful for custom hardware, private networks, or cost control specified with, runs on Ubuntu latest.
What is a matrix build in GitHub Actions?
A matrix build runs a job across multiple combinations of variables like OS, language version, or config. It uses the strategy.matrix keyword. Example: strategy, matrix, node, 16, 18, 20, OS, Ubuntu latest, Windows latest. This creates 6 parallel jobs, 3 versions times 2 OSes, ensuring compatibility across environments.
What are reusable workflows in GitHub Actions?
Reusable workflows allow you to define a workflow once and call it from other workflows using workflow_call. The called workflow lives in a .github/workflows/ file and declares inputs and secrets. Caller syntax: jobs, call workflow, uses, org/repo/.github/workflows/ci.yml at main with env, production. This promotes dry principles across repositories.
What is the workflow_dispatch event in GitHub Actions?
Workflow_dispatch allows you to manually trigger a workflow from the GitHub UI, API, or CLI. You can define custom input parameters. Example: on workflow_dispatch, inputs, environment, type, choice options, staging, production, useful for ad hoc deployments and maintenance tasks.
What is a Jenkins file?
A Jenkins file is a text file that defines a Jenkins pipeline using code, pipeline as code. It is checked into the repository root. 2 syntax styles: declarative, structured, opinionated syntax with pipeline, block scripted, flexible Groovy-based syntax with node. Block declarative is recommended for most use cases due to readability and built-in validation.
What is the structure of a declarative Jenkins pipeline?
Pipeline, agent any stages, stage, build, steps, make build, stage, test, steps, make test, stage, deploy, steps, make deploy, key blocks, agent, where to run, stages, what to do, steps, individual commands, and optional post, cleanup/notifications.
What are agents in Jenkins?
An agent specifies where a pipeline or stage runs. Options include agent any, run on any available executor, agent none, no global agent. Each stage specifies its own agent, label Linux, run on a node with the given label agent, Docker, image node 18. Run inside a Docker container. Agents enable distributed builds across multiple machines.
What are Jenkins shared libraries?
Jenkins shared libraries are reusable Groovy code stored in a separate Git repository. They allow teams to share pipeline logic across multiple Jenkins files. Structure, vars / global functions callable from pipelines src / Groovy class files resources / non-Groovy files usage in Jenkins file at library my shared lib _ my custom step.
What are build artifacts in CI/CD?
Build artifacts are the output files produced during the build process, such as compiled binaries or JR files, Docker images, test reports, code coverage reports. Artifacts are stored and passed between stages or jobs. In GitHub Actions, use actions/upload artifact and actions/download artifact. In Jenkins, use archive artifacts.
How does dependency caching work in CI/CD?
Dependency caching stores downloaded packages between pipeline runs to avoid re-downloading them each time. GitHub Actions example uses actions/cache at v4 with the path node _modules key deps hash files package lock.json. The cache key uses a hash of the lock file, so it invalidates when dependencies change. This can reduce build times by 50% or more.
What is build caching and how does it differ from dependency caching?
Build caching stores intermediate compilation results, e.g., compiled objects, Webpack chunks, to speed up subsequent builds. Dependency caching stores downloaded packages, node _modules, .m2, pip cache. Examples of build caches: Docker layer caching, Gradle build cache, next.js.next/cache for C/C++. Both reduce pipeline time but target different phases of the build.
How are environment variables used in CI/CD pipelines?
Environment variables pass configuration values to pipeline steps without hard coding them. GitHub Actions, env, node _env, production API _URL, $vars API _URL, Jenkins, environment, node _env equals production. They can be set at the workflow, job, or step level and are commonly used for build modes, API endpoints, and feature flags.
How does GitHub Actions manage secrets?
GitHub secrets are encrypted variables stored at the repository, environment, or organization level. Access in workflows, $secrets.my_secret, key rules. Secrets are masked in logs automatically. They are not passed to workflows from forks by default. Environment secrets can require reviewers for approval. Use GitHub_token for built-in repo access. Never hard-code secrets in code or workflow files.
What is HashiCorp Vault and how is it used in CI/CD?
HashiCorp Vault is a secrets management tool that provides dynamic secrets, auto-generated, short-lived credentials, encryption as a service, encrypt data without storing it, secret rotation, automatic credential rotation, audit logging, track all secret access in CI/CD, pipelines authenticate to Vault via token, app role, or OIDC, and fetch secrets at runtime rather than storing them in the CI system.
What is AWS Secrets Manager and when should you use it?
AWS Secrets Manager is a service that stores, rotates, and retrieves secrets like database credentials and API keys. Use it when Your infrastructure runs on AWS. You need automatic secret rotation. You want IAM-based access control. Secrets are consumed by AWS services, Lambda, ECS, RDS, in CI/CD. Use the AWS CLI or SDK to retrieve secrets. AWS Secrets Manager. Get secret value, secret ID, my secret.
What is blue-green deployment?
Blue-green deployment maintains two identical production environments, blue, the current live environment, green, the new version being deployed. Traffic is switched from blue to green once the new version is verified. If issues occur, you instantly roll back by switching traffic back to blue. Pros: zero downtime, instant rollback. Cons: requires double infrastructure, database migrations can be complex.
What is canary deployment?
Canary deployment gradually rolls out changes to a small subset of users before a full release. Typical flow: deploy to 5% of traffic, monitor metrics, error rates, latency, gradually increase to 25%, 50%, 100% rollback if metrics degrade. Pros: reduced risk, real-world testing. Cons: requires traffic splitting, needs good monitoring tools, Istio, Argo rollouts, AWS code deploy.
What is rolling deployment?
Rolling deployment incrementally replaces instances of the old version with the new version, one batch at a time. Example: with 10 servers, update servers 1 to 2, verify health, update servers 3 to 4, verify health, continue until all 10 are updated. Pros: no extra infrastructure needed, gradual rollout. Cons: mixed versions running simultaneously, slower rollback. This is the default strategy in Kubernetes deployments.
What is the recreate deployment strategy?
The recreate strategy shuts down all existing instances before deploying new ones. Process: stop all v1 instances, deploy all v2 instances, start v2. Pros: simple, no version compatibility issues, clean state. Cons: causes downtime during the switch. Best for development/staging environments, applications that cannot run multiple versions simultaneously, major database schema changes.
What is A/B testing deployment?
A/B testing deployment routes different user segments to different application versions to compare behavior and outcomes. Unlike Canary, which tests stability, A/B testing measures business metrics, conversion rates, user engagement, revenue impact. Traffic is split based on rules like user ID, geography, or cookies. Requires feature flags or an ingress controller with routing rules. Tools: launch Darkly, Istio, AWS CloudFront.
What is Git flow branching strategy?
Git flow uses multiple long-lived branches: main, production-ready code, develop, integration branch for features, feature/*, new features branched from develop, release /*, prepare a release, bug fixes only, hotfix /*, urgent fixes for main. Pros: structured, clear release process. Cons: complex, long-lived branches can cause merge conflicts, best suited for projects with scheduled releases.
What is trunk-based development?
Trunk-based development has all developers commit to a single main branch, trunk, frequently, at least once per day. Key practices: short-lived feature branches, 1 to 2 days max, feature flags to hide incomplete work, continuous integration with automated tests. Pros: reduces merge conflicts, enables continuous deployment, simpler branching model. Cons: requires discipline, good test coverage, and feature flag management.
How do feature branches fit into CI/CD?
Feature branches isolate development work in dedicated branches created from the main branch. CI/CD integration: each push triggers automated builds and tests, pull requests, run status checks before merging. Branch protection rules enforce passing CI preview deployments for each PR. Best practices: keep branches short-lived, days, not weeks. Rebase frequently from main, delete after merging.
What is SonarQube and how is it used in CI/CD?
SonarQube is a code quality and security analysis platform that inspects code for bugs, potential runtime errors, vulnerabilities, security weaknesses, code smells, maintainability issues, duplications, repeated code blocks. Coverage: Test coverage percentage. It integrates into CI/CD as a quality gate. The pipeline fails if code doesn't meet defined thresholds, e.g., coverage less than 80%.
What are code quality gates in CI/CD?
Quality gates are automated checkpoints that enforce minimum standards before code can proceed in the pipeline. Common quality gates: test coverage greater than or equal to 80%, zero critical security vulnerabilities, no new code smells, all linting rules pass performance benchmarks within thresholds. If any gate fails, the pipeline blocks the merge or deployment. This ensures consistent code quality across the team.
How is linting integrated into CI/CD pipelines?
Linting is integrated as an early pipeline stage to catch style and syntax issues automatically. Example: GitHub Actions step, name, lint run, npm run lint common linters, ESLint, JavaScript/TypeScript pylint/rough, Python Rubycop, Ruby PHP_code sniffer, PHP best practice. Run linting before tests since it's fast and catches obvious issues early.
How do you enforce test coverage thresholds in CI/CD?
Test coverage thresholds ensure a minimum percentage of code is tested. Implementation: run tests with coverage, jest coverage, set threshold in config, coverage threshold, global, branches, 80, lines, 80, fail the CI step if below threshold. Tools: jest, Istanbul/NYC, Jokoko, Java, coverage.py, upload reports to SonarCube or CodeCov for tracking trends.
What are containerized builds in CI/CD?
Containerized builds run pipeline steps inside Docker containers to ensure a consistent, reproducible environment. Benefits: reproducibility, same environment locally and in CI isolation, no dependency conflicts between projects, version control, Dockerfile defines exact tooling, GitHub Actions, container, image, Node 18, Alpine Jenkins, agent, Docker, image, Maven 3.9.
How do you build and push Docker images in a CI/CD pipeline?
Typical steps to build and push a Docker image: name, login to Docker Hub, run, echo $secrets.docker_pass, Docker login u $secrets.docker_user, password stin name, build image, run, Docker build tmyapp, $github.sha. Name, push image, run, Docker push myapp, $github.sha, best practices, tag with commit SHA for traceability, use multi-stage builds for smaller images, and leverage layer caching.
What is SAST, Static Application Security Testing?
SAST analyzes source code without executing it to find security vulnerabilities early in the development cycle. What it detects: SQL injection patterns, cross-site scripting, XSS, buffer overflows, hard-coded credentials. Popular tools: SonarCube, SemGrep, CodeQL, GitHub. Checkmarks: SAST runs in CI as a build time check and is best at finding issues in code you write, not in dependencies.
What is DAST, Dynamic Application Security Testing?
DAST tests a running application by simulating attacks from the outside, like a real attacker would. What it detects: authentication flaws, server misconfigurations, runtime injection vulnerabilities, exposed sensitive data. Popular tools: OWASP, Zap, Burp Suite, Nuclei. DAST runs after deployment to a test environment. It complements SAST by finding runtime issues that static analysis cannot detect.
What is dependency scanning in CI/CD?
Dependency scanning checks third-party libraries for known vulnerabilities using databases like the National Vulnerability Database, NVD. Tools: Dependabot, GitHub, auto-creates PRs for updates, SNYK, scans and monitors dependencies, Trivi, scans containers and file systems, npm audit/pip audit. Language-specific integrate as a CI step to block builds with critical vulnerabilities. Also called software composition analysis, SCA.
How do you set up notifications in CI/CD pipelines?
Notifications alert teams about pipeline results. Common integrations: GitHub Actions uses /copy/Slack GitHub action at v1 with channel ID, C01234 Slack message, deploy $job.status, common channels, Slack/Teams, team chat notifications email, build failure alerts PagerDuty, production incident alerts best practice, notify on failures always, successes only when relevant.
What are approval gates in CI/CD?
Approval gates require manual human approval before a pipeline proceeds to the next stage, typically before production deployment. GitHub Actions use environment with required reviewers, environment, name, production Jenkins, input message, deploy to production. Use cases, production deployments infrastructure changes compliance requirements balance between safety and deployment velocity.
What is GitOps?
GitOps is a practice where Git is the single source of truth for both application code and infrastructure configuration. Principles, declarative, desired state described in Git versioned, all changes tracked via commits automated, agents reconcile actual state with desired state observable, drift detection and alerts tools, Argo CD, Flux instead of CI pushing deployments, a GitOps agent pulls changes and applies them to the cluster.
How is infrastructure as code, IAC, integrated into CI/CD?
IAC in CI/CD automates infrastructure provisioning as part of the pipeline. Typical pipeline stages: Terraform FMT check, validate formatting Terraform validate, syntax check Terraform plan, preview changes manual approval gate Terraform apply changes tools, Terraform, Pulumi, CloudFormation, Ansible store state files remotely, S3, GCS, and use state locking to prevent concurrent modifications.
What is the purpose of the build stage in a CI/CD pipeline?
The build stage compiles source code and produces executable artifacts. Activities include dependency resolution, install packages from lock files compilation, compile TypeScript, Java, Go, etc. Bundling, Webpack, Vite for front-end assets Docker image creation best practices, use lock files for deterministic builds enable build caching fail fast on compilation errors produce versioned artifacts.
What is the purpose of the test stage in a CI/CD pipeline?
The test stage validates code correctness through automated testing. Test types typically run in CI, unit tests, test individual functions/methods integration tests, test component interactions end-to-end tests, test full user workflows smoke tests, basic sanity checks post-deploy best practices. Run tests in parallel for speed use test splitting across runners generate JUnit XML reports for CI integration.
What is the deploy stage in a CI/CD pipeline?
The deploy stage releases the built artifact to a target environment. Common deployment targets: cloud platforms, AWS, GCP, Azure Kubernetes clusters serverless, Lambda, Cloud Functions PaaS, Heroku, Railway, FL-wide, IO best practices, deploy to staging first, then production use environment-specific configs implement health checks after deploy enable automatic rollback on failure.
How do you use the needs keyword in GitHub Actions?
The needs keyword creates dependencies between jobs, making them run sequentially instead of in parallel. Example, jobs, build, runs on, Ubuntu latest steps, test, needs, build runs on, Ubuntu latest deploy, needs, build, test. The deploy job waits for both build and test to complete successfully before starting.
What are GitHub Actions environment protection rules?
Environment protection rules add safeguards to deployments targeting specific environments. Available protections, required reviewers, up to 6 people must approve wait timer, delay before deployment, 0 to 43,200 minutes, deployment branches, restrict which branches can deploy custom rules, external policy checks configured in repo settings environments. Workflows reference environments with environment, production.
What are Jenkins pipeline plugins and why are they important?
Jenkins plugins extend functionality by adding integrations, build tools, and features. Essential CI/CD plugins, Pipeline, enables pipeline as code Git, source code management Docker pipeline, build inside containers credentials, secure secrets storage Blue Ocean, modern UI JUnit, test result reporting Jenkins has 1,800 plus plugins. Manage them carefully. Too many plugins can cause compatibility and security issues.
How do you handle secrets in Jenkins?
Jenkins stores secrets using the Credentials plugin. Types: username, password, secret text, secret file, SSH key, certificate usage in declarative pipeline. Environment: AWS_key equals credentials, AWS access key, or with credentials block, with credentials, string, credentials ID, token, variable, token, sh curl h auth, $token.
What is the difference between GitHub hosted and self-hosted runners?
GitHub hosted, self-hosted management. GitHub manages you manage environment clean VM each job persistent cost included / metered your hardware costs customization limited full control network public internet private network access use. Self-hosted for GPU workloads, private network access, specialized hardware, or cost optimization at scale.
How do you implement multi-environment deployments in CI/CD?
Multi-environment deployments promote code through progressively higher environments. Dev staging production implementation. Use environment-specific config files or variables. Same artifact deployed to each environment. Approval gates between staging and production environment. Scoped secrets. GitHub Actions example. Deploy staging, environment, staging. Deploy prod, needs, deploy staging environment, production.